Let's start with our special guest, John Harder.
Stevie J, thank you so much for having me a part of this special Angry Marks podcast tonight. I didn't think I could have made it today. Thankfully, the Hard Way Podcast Studios now has a coffee maker, so I got my coffee. I'm rip-roaring ready to go. I'm amped.
All right, well, that's what we need. We want lots of energy because we got to discuss the worst angles in wrestling, so you need some coffee to do that. And speaking of people who've probably caffeinated for this, I'll turn it over to the man who's doing 2 podcasts today, Nikolai.
Yes, it is I, the one and only Nikolai, making my return to the Angry Marks podcast flagship show. Stevie, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
No problem, and we're glad you're here to represent the SmackDown Rundown. We were hoping to have King J on the panel as well, but due to mysterious circumstances, he's not with us, so you're holding it down for that faction. And speaking of podcasts that are holding it down here, we've got 2 representatives of the Impact Implosion, which makes sense because they're going to be strong in the Turducken nominations this year. Let's start with Seth Draken.
Hello, everybody, and this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd make it as well, but things happen.
Yeah, schedule permitting. We're actually taping a little late to give everybody that time to get on the show, but it's all worked out well because we've also got Mike Poole in here.
Hello, and as always, TNA always has a lot of nominations.
They seem to be a front-runner every year. And for those who have forgotten, last year's winner by unanimous consent was Claire Lynch. So, Mike, as we look back 1 year going, any thoughts on Claire Lynch winning last year?
Oh, God. I don't know if I want to have any thoughts on that.
Seth, any thoughts about Claire Lynch winning last year?
Seemed appropriate since that also won the Gooker that year, too.
Yeah, Claire Lynch was a consensus favorite in a lot of worst of the year polls. Nick, any thoughts on Claire Lynch as we look back to a year ago?
I will say this. Claire Lynch came into TNA as an actress, and winning the Golden Turducken here is probably the only thing she's going to win.
Well, that and the Gooker.
She's not winning any awards for her acting, that's for damn sure.
Oh, God, no.
Well, John...
Me and Mike had a laugh all over that crap, over her acting.
Yes, we all did, and that's why I want to ask John, too. Did you have a good laugh at Claire Lynch when she was in TNA last year?
I'll put it to you like this, Steve. Anytime you could get a paternity test on wrestling television that reminds me of Maury, I'm down, and I loved it. It was ridiculously awful, but anything with paternity test, I'm all for in wrestling.
Ridiculously awful, it's TNA.
Funny thing about that paternity test is we didn't get that. We got some lawyer saying, she's not here anymore.
Yeah,
she lied.
Whoops.
That's what made it so bad, was that she just up and vanished without any conclusion to the angle. We never really got a payoff.
She disappeared.
Well,
that was our payoff.
Well, yeah, her leaving was the payoff. That's true. But the only thing that angle was missing was a big Jamaican psychic to come out and go, "Who the father the baby?"
Oh, God, no.
And then somebody named Sugar Bear coming out on stage and dancing when he's not announced as the father. Fantastic television.
Yes.
Yeah, the sad thing is that the reason that angle ended was because Universal Studios was mad. Because she's olive oil.
Or was. Didn't she quit that job, too, and just kind of go into hiding after that?
I don't know, but she was
wouldn't you go
olive
into
oil.
hiding if you had a job in TNA?
I don't know. AJ Styles is touring the world right now, so I don't think he's in hiding.
Oh, then Dixie technically fired him, or we're going to get to that later.
Yeah, well, that'll definitely be a nominee. And I think without further ado, we should just go ahead and get to those. So I'm going to start with our special guest today, John. What angles would you like to nominate? And keep in mind, you can nominate up to 3 to win the Golden Turducken.
All right, I'll start with the first one that comes to my mind. And this one, it never got any real payoff, and it was a prominent focal point on television for about 2 weeks, and then dropped, kind of brought back in a little backstage segment, just discussed back and forth. I'm going to go and say the Triple H concussion angle in the summer of 2013 that took over Monday Night Raw for a few weeks due to the Brock Lesnar match where he was out of commission. It reintroduced Curtis Axel to the world, but it did nothing else besides slowly interweave Triple H to becoming the authority figure you see now with the Authority on television. I'm upset there was no payoff to it, and maybe if you guys agree with me on this, there should have been something more with a culmination, a payoff, just something maybe to get Triple H have his revenge and he's 100% cleared. I wasn't a fan of the concussion. And the concussion angle is very reminiscent of TNA in some respects with the Matt Morgan, Mr. Anderson thing from 2010. Just wasn't a fan of it. Didn't have any payoff. Did nothing for Curtis Axel in the long run. So that's my first nominee, the Triple H concussion.
Well, it's funny because they keep going back to that concussion well again, and if somebody doesn't beat me to it, that's going to be one of my nominees later. But what are your other two, John?
My second one is the forced fandangoing craze. The day after WrestleMania, I mean, it was so transparent at the WrestleMania 29 this year from MetLife. The fans were really getting behind the fandangoing, going nuts with it. Instead of letting it be an organic build, the WWE office and the power involved, they tried to force it on the fan base instead of letting it be organic and homegrown, and it just killed Fandango, I think, a little bit. It killed a little bit of his momentum, having it forced upon him. Fans stopped doing it. It just wasn't cool anymore to Fandango, especially during that short time after Raw where everybody was doing it from Europe to the tri-state area, just doing the Fandangoing. It was fantastic. WWE killed it dead due to the forcedness of it. So Fandangoing failed is my number 2 choice for the Turducken Award.
All right, and your third and final nominee if you have one more.
I know a lot of guys got TNA stuff, so I'm actually going to stray away from the TNA market, Steve, and I'm going to go with something different, and I have a unique reasoning behind it. Maybe you guys can follow me in the long run. The Mike Bennett pile driver angle they're running in Ring of Honor right now.
Ooh.
And the reason why I'm going with that is not for the reasons you would think. For me, it's very reminiscent of Pro Wrestling Noah in 2009 when Misawa sadly passed away in the ring due to a backdrop driver. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of the guy who delivered the maneuver to Misawa, but just after the Misawa in the ring, they actually gave the backdrop driver as a finisher to that wrestler in Noah, and I found that at the time to be it was very eerie to me to see that be displayed. I know it's wrestling and anything's fair game, but knowing that a maneuver, led to the death of a wrestler and making that guy have that as his finisher, kind of uneasy. So then when you see Mike Bennett, prematurely ended the career of B.J. Whitmer, who was on one hell of a comeback run in Ring of Honor, with the pile driver on the apron, which, it's a tough move to take to begin with, and seeing how it ended, seeing how it's all culminated, where it's a loser does the pile drive, can't use the pile driver anymore with Kevin Steen, a final battle. I don't know how it's going to culminate, but in my opinion, I'm not a fan of it. It's very eerie to take a maneuver that ended the career of a gentleman and put that on television, build that up for final battle against Kevin Steen, who coincidentally was involved with a pile driver battle with Cornette back in 2010, 2011. I'm just not a fan of that thing in particular. It's very eerie to me. It's not the angle itself, just very eerie, I guess. That's the only word that keeps coming to mind. It's just very not good for business.
I guess the comparison I could make, and rest in peace to the dead when I say this, but it would be like giving Owen Hart the pile driver after he broke Steve Austin's neck.
Exactly. Ooh. That's a great point, Steve.
Good
point.
Reference.
Mm-hmm. So, Mike, why don't we go ahead with you? What are your 3 nominees this year for a Golden Turducken?
3 nominees, huh?
3. If you don't have to have 3, but you can nominate up to 3.
How about the Aces and Eights storyline?
How did I know you were going to go there?
I was going to nominate that too.
Beat you to it, Seth. Sorry. But yes, TNA in classic TNA fashion, drawing out a storyline that didn't really need to be drawn out. And really only had the big moment with Bully Ray in April at Lockdown, pretty much, was the big moment there. And then basically the grouping of it was really bad with making it kind of look like the weakest stable in history of wrestling.
Yeah, I don't think Wes Briscoe and Garrett Bischoff were really scaring anybody.
Nope.
All right. Well, Mike, do you got any others?
Abyss and Joseph Park.
That's another one. Damn it.
Anyone who thinks that they're not the same person might want to get their head checked for something. Because...
What? I was just going to say, at this point, I think Abyss might want to get his head checked, or Joseph Park, whichever one you consider him to be.
It's the Three Faces of Foley, except not as good.
Oh, man. Mike's going all in.
All right. Well, is your third one TNA as well, Mike, or do you not have a third?
I might have a third, but I don't know if it's TNA. I was actually going to go with this whole, oh, crap, what was it? Okay, maybe I don't have a third. Go ahead, whoever's next.
All right. Well, since Seth got a couple of his stolen, I think it's only fair that we go to Seth and see if he's got a couple of substitutes.
Okay, I do have some substitutes. First, and because of this being so annoying, heel Dixie Carter.
Damn it.
Well, he just stole one of mine, so now we're all on the same page.
Son of a... That's the one I couldn't think of.
Yeah,
that's just been going on in the last month.
It's just incredibly unconvincing, and I've said this on AMP before. She does not go overnight from this genteel Southern belle to this raging Vicky Guerrero of TNA. It's not working for me.
I think I had said that the first week they did it too. That she just comes off as unconvincing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the worst thing you can be in professional wrestling is unconvincing. If you can't play the character, you shouldn't be doing it.
Actually, so since Mike, that was your idea, I'm going to give that one to you, and so I'll get three more.
All right. Well, I will pass that from you to Mike. And what are your new nominees, Seth?
Because this group went so fast from being losers to being the best tag team, so apparently in TNA, the Bromans.
Oh, Lord.
Wow.
Jesse Goddard and Robbie E., these two fist-bumping morons that now have a DJ in Zema Ion.
What a use of him, by the way.
Yeah. And now they're the tag team champions.
Yeah.
God knows why.
2 weeks after they've been jobbing for months, even years.
Especially
and now,
for me.
In 2 months, they become tag champs.
I didn't mean to jump on you, Seth, but I was just going to add to that going to Bound for Glory this year and watching them win the tag titles, I was completely mystified. I'm like, these guys have done nothing, and nobody knows who they are or cares, and now all of a sudden they're the tag champs. It struck me as just coming completely flat. And
forced push.
Yeah, forced push. That's a good word for it. It felt unnecessary and unreal. It didn't seem natural or organic in any way.
It reminded me a bit of Funaki as the Cruiserweight champion, but at least they built up Funaki.
Right. And
they did build 2 weeks, they build these guys up, and they're tag champs.
And to some degree, you could almost see that as a reward to Funaki for years of service. Like, the guy had paid his dues, and now they were finally going to give him a little run with one of the titles. So it felt like something that was long time coming, whereas Bromance in 2 weeks was not a long time coming.
No.
So what are your other nominees, Seth?
This one is apparently this legend who came into TNA and has so far just been so horrible that you just hate him. Chavo Guerrero in TNA.
That's fair. He's really done nothing.
He has done nothing. He has shown his flaws. He has been given mic work, and he sucks at it. Mm-hmm. And when your partner is Hernandez, you can't do much with that.
No, and considering that Chavo and Hernandez are a team, you would think that they would draw from that demographic and that it would improve TNA's ratings, but they haven't been used on TV and their ratings haven't changed or have maybe even gone down a little bit.
Well, even when they were used, that demographic didn't go to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just never showed up, unless it was like 1,000 viewers and didn't add up in the ratings to a percentage point, because we never saw it.
No, it didn't.
All right.
No, it didn't. Well, and my third one, and this one is just personal spite because of how this happened, the departure of Hulk Hogan.
Oh, damn, you just stole one from me.
The way Hulk Hogan left TNA, making his owner look like a complete loser, even though that's the way Dixie was supposed to be, but you made Hogan be better than the product. Mm. And that was just repulsive when I saw it.
Yeah, the worst part was they just buried themselves in the end with that, with Dixie getting down and begging on her hands and knees for Hogan to stay. If she's supposed to be this raging bitch now, why was she begging Hogan to stay? She should have come out and cut a promo and said, "Fine, we don't need you. We don't need to pay for you. I got better things to do with my money."
And the sad thing is they did that later.
I know.
After they realized the bullshit. And the reason this happened is because Hogan has creative control.
Right, so he got to write his own exit and make himself look like the God's gift of wrestling, even though at his age and current ability to work, he's not.
No.
All right, Nick, you've heard all these nominees so far, and now it's your turn to give a few.
All right, well, since we're on the topic of TNA, let me just throw that one as my first one out there. And I would love to throw TNA as a whole in the awards, but that's just way too vague. I would love to throw the entire episode of Thanksgiving Impact as a nominee, but that's also too vague. So let me pick one segment from the Thanksgiving episode, and this was just recent, just happened a couple of days ago. The funeral of the Aces and Eights. It was so bad, so terrible, so poorly acted by the actors, and I'm referring to Eric Young, Mr. Anderson, even Mike Tenay. It was just completely unwatchable, and I had to change the channel to watch Thursday Night Football. And when that went to commercial, I switched it back to Impact, and it was still going. So I switched it back to football, and I switched it back to Impact, and it was still going. And then finally, Bully Ray shows up wearing nothing but clothes covering his entire skin, a hood, a hat, and shades. It was just completely horribly written. That is so bad, the fact I couldn't even sit through the whole thing.
So in other words, this is the segment that never ends. It just keeps going on, my friend. It never ends.
Exactly. Yes. It was just bad. But like I said, I really wanted to throw the entire episode of Thanksgiving from Impact in there because that whole entire show was bad. But I just had to pick apart that segment.
Fair enough. Now, are there going to be any nominees from SmackDown or Raw?
Not necessarily either show. It's as a whole, since we're now in the phase that they're acknowledging there is no more brand extension. So
true.
This summer, the summer of Daniel Bryan.
Oh, stole one from me.
It could have gone so well. We had so much hype from it, and Daniel Bryan did the unthinkable at SummerSlam. He won the WWE Championship over John Cena. Purely an epic moment from an indie fan's perspective, from a wrestling fan's perspective. It was just a great moment. It was shock. I jumped out of my seat when it happened. Now, Randy Orton cashing in Money in the Bank on Daniel Bryan was expected, and I didn't have a problem with that. I was just happy that Daniel Bryan won. Now, further down the line, we had Daniel Bryan defeat Randy Orton again to win back the championship. But then the next day, and it was a fast count. And then the next day on Raw, they stripped him of the title and made it vacant. From then on, it was complete crap.
By the way, you gotta love that when that happened, that people actually asked for their money back, and they had to give it to them.
Yeah, because cable providers were told they negated the purpose of the pay-per-view and upended the finish of the main event, so we didn't get what we paid for, hence we want our money.
Right. So my official nominee is the misuse of Daniel Bryan in the build-up for the title and the subsequent abeyant WWE Championship and the screwjob endings to the pay-per-views. Not to Monday Night Raw, not to SmackDown, the pay-per-views. And Daniel Bryan holds the unfortunate statistic of being the only man to be a two-time WWE champion for a total of one day.
Yeah, I think I can sum it up, and I'm trying to do that with the titles that I'm giving these as we go along. I'm just calling that one, Nick, the Summer of Daniel Bryan that wasn't.
That's very apt. It works.
All right, what's your third nominee if you have one more?
Well, actually, wasn't that his first nominee?
No, his first was the Aces and Eights funeral.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So
And I kind of drew this one up on the fly. I couldn't. I kind of had a tie for my third one, so I really don't know which one to go with. Although one isn't as bad as the other, but I'll say the burial of Dolph Ziggler when he was the World Heavyweight Champion.
Ooh.
He had such a huge pop the night after WrestleMania, winning the World Heavyweight Championship, cashing in Money in the Bank on Del Rio. Then he got hit with an unfortunate concussion, and that was right there the downfall, because we had nonstop rematches, I think 5 in total, between Big E and Del Rio. And then when Ziggler was finally cleared, they put the title back on Del Rio.
Turned him heel.
They did a double switch for both men, and Ziggler never got the title back, and he never got his steam back. So they completely lost the opportunity. I call it the burial of Dolph Ziggler.
Can I throw out a comparison for that one that you just mentioned, Nick?
Sure.
A couple years ago, people were asking for Zack Ryder, correct? And about the same exact thing, except lower on the card, happened to him.
Yeah, with the United States Championship.
yeah, he had like a 1 or 2 week run. It wasn't very long, and then he was just completely buried after that. He was jobbed to everyone. He got beat up by Kane. He just had nothing.
Yeah, he had a storyline injury thanks to Kane, and then jobbed the title to Jack Swagger.
You know, I'm not going to lie. If everyone did not hate that Claire Lynch thing from last year, I genuinely think the downfall of Zack Ryder should have been, should have been the biggest. It should have been the biggest thing of 2012 on how a guy who made his own name in 2011 did it himself. You know, the mantra "do it yourself," small business style of Zack Ryder made his way, and then ultimately the downfall. And now the former "We Want Ryder" chants that were so not transparent, but so vocal for the fan base, the Ryder Revolution, turned down in 2012, and now 2013, you don't hear anybody making a mutter about Zack Ryder. It's sad. It really is sad, guy. And Dolph Ziggler, great comparison to that.
Yeah, the only
I think ironically enough, I think the reason that Zack had his downfall was because he got over on his own and didn't have the machine of the WWE to get him over.
Right.
And the ironic thing is Dolph Ziggler was apparently wearing a Zack Ryder shirt in a match. Two equally...
Yeah, not a good idea to champion yourself as the people's champion on the internet anymore, because it's only going to get you retribution from WWE for not following the script that they laid out. Because if they want you to be over, you're over, and if they don't want you to be over, you're not. But sometimes when they do want you to be over, you're not. And that's my first nominee, is Alberto Del Rio's failed run as a babyface.
Oh, God.
They tried so hard, but they only got so far, and in the end it didn't even matter, because people were more than happy for him to go back heel once he got that chance to go after Dolph Ziggler and take the title off of him. They wanted him to be the bad guy. His babyface run never clicked.
You could also say that about The Miz.
Well, that's true, but I have two better than The Miz, so I didn't even put him on my list. My second is Damian Sandow cashing in on an injured John Cena and still losing. They had a chance to make a new superstar at the upper to mid-card level, and instead, Damian Sandow is just back in singles competition, trading wins and losses with people like Kofi Kingston. So him having that Money in the Bank in his nice Hershey bar chocolate briefcase for all that time ended up meaning absolutely nothing.
Well, I wouldn't have a problem with the Damian Sandow thing if they actually still built him up as a star, just based on he'd be pissed off about losing that briefcase. But no!
Yeah,
he's back now feuding with Dolph Ziggler,
Exactly. That's the fail of it, is that they didn't even give him any momentum coming out of it. If he was still challenging for the world title, or at least in the upper part of the card, then you could care. But it wound up being zero. They didn't even bother. And that's, speaking of didn't even bother, that's my third nominee, Brooke Hogan. What was the point?
Oh,
I was waiting for someone to come up with that.
dang it, and I forgot about Brooke.
I was waiting for
So
that.
die.
Well,
God.
I'll sum it up very briefly. She was supposed to be the leader of the Knockouts division. She never led anything. She was supposed to be the star of, being the star from Hogan's Knows Best, but that didn't turn out to be anything either. She was supposed to be able to cause this, influx of Hogan fans between her and her dad, and that didn't happen either. So what was the point of her? Getting rid of her was probably one of the few good things TNA did.
Stevie,
Pissed off Hogan.
my favorite part about Brooke Hogan was when the Aces and Eights were banded together, and Bully Ray was saying "I love you, Brooke" on the phone, and "I love you, Brooke," and "You're my wife," and you're my girl or whatever. And it turned out to be Brooke Tessmacher. That was the best part of Brooke Hogan.
Yeah, the Brooke swerve, that was actually pretty genius on Bully Ray's part, or whoever scripted that for him, Dave Legata, I don't know. I'll give credit where credit's due. That part was at least amusing.
Yeah, it was, but here it's pretty much obvious. Here's the talent of Brooke Hogan. During a wedding beatdown where the Aces and Eights are beating down everyone, Hogan, Bully Ray, anyone, and all Brooke Hogan think of is, my top is, my breasts are showing.
Yeah, so unconcerned about the beatdown that she had to adjust herself.
Yeah, and tell her daddy that instead
Another
of,
best
are you
of Brooke
okay,
Hogan.
daddy? Are you okay, daddy? Or are you okay, Bully? No, my breasts are falling out.
Well, she shouldn't have gotten those implants then. That wouldn't have been a problem.
I know. Well, it's because her bra, like a little strap thing, got broken or something.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there was some stupid excuse, but Brooke Hogan was just a waste of time in general.
Yeah, she
Waste
was.
of time, waste of money.
But definitely a waste of money. So I believe we've got 3 nominees apiece now, and that makes it time to vote for which one of these is the Golden Turducken. And for our listeners' benefit, I will explain quickly that we take a roundtable vote on each one, and anything that fails to get a unanimous vote is eliminated, because usually the winner ends up being unanimous, and if there's more than one that's unanimous, we have a runoff vote to break the tie. So I'll do one nominee from each as we go around, and anything that gets one no vote from the panel gets knocked out. John, I'm starting with you, the Triple H concussion angle that also introduced Curtis Axel. So I assume you're voting yes for that.
Yes.
All right. Yes. Nick, do you vote yes or no for the Triple H angle?
I'm going to vote no.
Well, sorry, John, that means your first angle has been eliminated already.
Sorry,
I'm
John.
calling screw job. No,
All right,
Earl
Nick.
having to ring the bell too soon.
Nick, it's only fair that we go right to you with the funeral for the Aces and Eights. I assume you're voting yes for that.
Yeah.
Seth, are you voting yes or no for the funeral?
I actually enjoyed the funeral. No.
Well, then that one has just been eliminated. So, Seth, now...
I actually think the only thing TNA knows how to do is funerals.
Well, they may be doing one for themselves. Give them another 6 months.
Well, they had one successful wedding with Eric Young and ODB.
You know...
God, don't ever bring up that wedding.
Just since you went there, I have to say that was a success because nobody ran in and broke it up. They put it inside of a cage.
And they got married.
But it was freaking horrible.
It was still successful, regardless of how bad or good in some people's eyes it was. They still ended up getting married. That's the point.
I enjoyed it just because it was a wrestling wedding that actually got to the I-do's. For me, that made it a win.
Well, so did Dawn Marie and Al Wilson.
Oh, no, that was a far worse wedding.
Yeah, but that got both I-do's, too.
If we were doing turduckens back then, it would have gotten the turducken that year. I'm pretty sure of it. But, Seth, let's go to bromance, the 2 fist-bumping morons, as you so eloquently put it. I assume you're voting yes.
Yes, I'm voting yes on this.
Mike, are you voting yes for bromance?
Yeah.
I will vote yes for bromance as well, so this is now a strong contender. John, do you vote yes or no for bromance?
No, only because I am a big fan of the Bromance. I think they're a good comedy relief tag team, and I know they won the belts and people aren't a fan of it, but I feel it's good progression. At least the tag team division's getting action from it now, so no.
All right, well, that's a fair argument, but so far that was our best contender. This one might be better. Mike, the Aces and Eights storyline. You're a nominee, so I assume you're voting yes.
Yep.
I'm voting yes for that as well. John, do you vote yes or no for the Aces and Eights?
Yes.
Nick, do you vote yes or no for the Aces and Eights?
As a whole?
As a whole, the whole angle of 2013.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, yes or no?
Yes.
We have our first unanimous candidate, the
Well,
Aces
you're right.
and
You
Eights.
got me.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry. Yes or no?
And I'm
said
going to
Nick
say
twice.
yes as well. I'm going to make it a sweep. Yes, that horrible angle.
Get the broom.
I guess I had already thought Nick. I thought that said yes, so I apologize for skipping over it. But now we'll go to my first nominee, the fail of Brooke Hogan, which I will of course vote yes for. John, yes or no?
Yeah, I will. I think Brooke Hogan was kind of, I don't want to be blunt, pointless on television, especially everything. So yeah.
So Nick, yes or no for Brooke Hogan?
Yes.
Seth, yes or no for Brooke Hogan?
Yes.
Mike, yes or no for Brooke Hogan?
Yes.
We have two unanimous nominees then.
Both from TNA.
Why is that not a surprise? Okay, we go back around to the top again. John Harder, the forced fandangoing, where they plugged it and tried to make everybody do the fandango. I assume he votes yes.
Absolutely.
Nick, do you vote yes or no for fandangoing?
Yeah.
All right, Seth, yes or no on fandangoing?
Fandangoing. I really didn't. I think that was only I don't think it was going to be forced anyway. I really think that was going to die anyway, so I'm going to have to vote no.
That's a good reason. I can accept that. So that one's not going to win. We move now to the summer of Daniel Bryan that wasn't. Nick, I assume you vote yes.
Yeah, I was really disappointed about that whole storyline.
Seth, do you vote yes or no on the summer of Daniel Bryan?
I don't even watch WWE right now, so yes on that issue because of that.
Mike, do you vote yes or no on the summer of Bryan?
For what little WWE I actually watch, yes, I'll say yes.
All right, well, I'm voting yes for that, and we go back around to John.
Although I believe the payoff will be at WrestleMania, and this is the first you've heard it from me, I don't feel the angle's over yet, but for right now, I'm going to say yes.
All right, we have another unanimous nominee then.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
How appropriate. How very appropriate.
How very appropriate. And then, you almost forgot the fact that they tried to pass off Daniel Bryan's yes to the Big Show.
Yeah, that doesn't
And that didn't work.
No,
That's another part of the fail.
They can't give that to anybody else. They can try to, and it doesn't work. So
Yeah.
now we go to Seth's nominee of Chavo as the TNA star that didn't amount to much. So I assume he votes yes.
I'm voting yes, yeah.
Mike, do you vote yes or no on Chavo?
Yeah.
John, yes or no on Chavo?
Yeah, he hasn't done anything, so yeah, I'll go with it.
Nick, yes or no on Chavo?
Although his run wasn't as greatly predicted as TNA had propped him to be, I'm going to say no because I actually I don't mind Chavo, and he didn't really commit to much, but he still did have some good matches, so I do appreciate that.
All right, well, that one's not going to win then. We move now to Abyss and Joseph Park as nominated by Mike Poulin. I assume that's a yes, Mike.
Absolutely.
All right, I will vote yes for it as well because I got really damn tired of it a year ago and it kept on going. So, John, yes or no on Abyss and Joseph Park?
I know it's going to be a lot of grief from you guys, but I'm going to say no. I think that's honestly, Joseph Park and Abyss, I think is my favorite part of TNA television. I absolutely, for some weird reason, love it. So
You must
I'm
be
shaking
the only
my head,
one.
Mr. Harder. I'm
You must
shaking
be
my
the only
head.
one, John. I cannot stand Joseph Park. I actually want Abyss back. I cannot stand the look on Joseph Park's face when someone does a crossbody and he stands there. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I can't stand seeing his jowls move worse than Vicky Guerrero's.
Yes, sadly, Joseph Park really is best with a mask.
Yeah, I hate to agree.
Shut up and be a monster.
I'm with John to a point. I liked it in the beginning, but the fact that it never ended and they never gave us the payoff, and it went through lockdown and it went through Slammiversary, we still had it going on at Bound for Glory when I was there. That angle just ran out of gas way longer.
It's been going on for almost 2 years now.
I know.
Well, don't take it from me, but apparently they are going to finish the angle.
I hope so.
Well, if you
About a
also
year
look
and a
at it
half
like,
too late.
well, if you also look at it like this, guys, I kind of actually give a lot of grief. I noticed a lot of the TNA selections have been chosen already, and they've messed up a lot. But you also got to look at the TNA creative team. They pull the plug on things way too late, or they pull the plug on things extremely early. So it's a tough case. But I understand where you're coming from with that. I really do.
I just want to add this. My explanations are obviously from my own, enjoyment of it. You're free to enjoy Joseph Park. Stevie enjoyed it at first. It's just something that I personally cannot stand. But I give you kudos, John, for still being entertained by that.
Thank you.
I don't think anybody is entertained by Damian Sandow failing to become a star, so I'm voting yes for my nominee, and John, I go to you.
No. I feel like even though Sandow might not be looked at as the greatest of these right now, after the Money in the Bank match where he had absolutely a knockdown drag-out with Cena, he's facing Ziggler, he's having longer matches on television. I believe it's going to have a payoff in the long run, so no, I feel it was a great thing to do for Sandow to cash in and lose. Just got to give it time, and I'm telling you, it's going to work out in the long run. So I say no. Sandow cashing in was a great thing for television, and it's going to make him look strong in the long run.
I hope you're right, because I did love that match, even though he didn't win. So I'm going to give you a little benefit of the doubt on that one. Even though I voted for my own nominee, I'm going to hope that you were right, and that my yes will actually turn to a no. But now
I hope so, right?
I have to agree with John there. And Stevie, believe me, if King Jay was here, he would totally agree with you, because we've been saying that on SmackDown Rundown for past couple of weeks now. But I do believe that him losing Money in the Bank was a good thing, because we needed to see someone cash in and not win. Besides John Cena, who didn't win the title, he still won the match, although it was by disqualification. We needed that one guy to cash in and not win the championship. And I've already said Damian Sandow is a future world champion. He is a future Mr. Money in the Bank, but this year was not his year to win it.
I think Sandow might get a good effort in the Royal Rumble next month.
That's a really
January.
good point.
Well, yeah, we're a little over a month away now, but we're pretty close to the Royal Rumble. We got to get through TLC first. Which is going to be a nothing pay-per-view. Maybe I should have nominated the unification of TLC titles, but that hasn't even happened yet, so I guess regrettably I can't nominate that. But John did nominate Mike Bennett's ROH Piledriver angle, so I assume, John, you're voting yes for that.
Yes.
Nick, do you vote yes or no on the Mike Bennett Piledriver angle?
I heard about the pile driver, but I haven't heard about the angle, but judging by the description of it, it is disgusting, so yes.
All right, Seth, yes or no on the pile driver angle?
Pile driver angle. The fact that he's doing it, yeah, I'm gonna have to vote for it. That's kind of sick.
Mm-hmm. Mike, yes or no on the pile driver?
Yeah, I'm going to say yes on that.
Well, believe it or not, this is the first time in the history of the Turducken we have a unanimous nominee from Ring of Honor, because I'm voting yes. What happened to be with BJ Whitmer was a freak accident, and we all felt sympathy for everybody involved, but the fact they turned it into an angle makes it hard to sympathize with what's going on anymore. So
yeah, it's like D'Lo Brown when he did his pile driver to injure Draws, and D'Lo nobody was more upset about that than D'Lo, and they never did anything with that. They just said it happened in a freak accident. That's it.
Right.
And moved on.
Right. They didn't go out there and have him try to do the same thing to every other wrestler, only not hurt them.
Yeah.
On a lighter note, Mike Bennett just got engaged to Maria Kanellis.
Mm-hmm. So congratulations to him, but still a disgusting angle.
Yeah.
So, do we consider this a disgusting angle? Not for sickness reasons, but just for we had such high hopes. Nick nominated Dolph Ziggler's burial. So, Nick, what's your vote?
Yeah, I'm gonna vote yes, just because I was really, really disappointed at how they carried it.
All right, Seth.
Much like Rey Mysterio's first run.
Yeah, it's been compared to that quite a bit, actually. So, Seth, yes or no?
The way they've done Dolph Ziggler wrong, yes. I'm going to vote yes. He's pissed somebody off, I guess.
It sure seems like it. So is Ryback, but that's a completely another story. Maybe somebody should have nominated Ryback. Probably me.
No. I was okay with Ryback. He wasn't ever going to be anything more than... I think he was never going to be a world champion in my mind.
Fair enough. Seth, yes or no on Dolph Ziggler's burial?
I already said yes on Dolph Ziggler.
Sorry, I meant Mike. I apologize.
Yes. Yep.
Well, I'm going to vote yes for it, too. So, John, is this unanimous?
It's going to be unanimous, and it just goes to show that in the midst of getting the massive pop from the Izod Center with winning the world title, especially as a bad guy, and then doing the double switch after the injury with Del Rio, and Ziggler never really getting his comeuppance in that rivalry, which should have happened, I'm going absolute hell yes. I feel like they dropped the ball on Ziggler's monster reaction day after WrestleMania big time.
We've got a lot of strong contenders for Turducken this year. We may end up with a tie if that's even possible. But let's go to Seth's departure of Hulk Hogan. I assume he votes yes.
Yes, just the way it ended.
Mike, do you vote yes on Hulk Hogan's departure?
No, I don't.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought that was a strong contender as well, and that got shot down early. So, Mike, from there we go to you, the heel Dixie Carter angle. I pretty much assume you vote yes.
Yes, absolutely.
I definitely vote yes for that. Over to John.
And you know what? And there's something also I've realized about TNA stuff. That's a yes, by the way. But just seeing that they're trying to, it's weird how they play off a lot of WWE storylines and television in some weird respect. And the fact that Stephanie McMahon came back, as a strong heel character, and coincidentally, Dixie Carter comes on looking similar to same way, same exact thing with the best for business mantra. Absolutely. 110%. I feel it's an awful
Dixie
ripoff.
is nowhere near as convincing as Stephanie McMahon is.
Yeah.
And Stephanie's not that convincing either.
and just to further what John said, the fact they threw Ethan Carter III into this and tried to make him part of what's best for business in TNA, that's almost a fail in and of itself.
On a complete side note,
if they put Dixie with Ethan, she might actually be able to get him some heat of some sort.
in some weird respect, I actually think EC3 is actually a good idea in theory. I think it's something that really hasn't been tried as much, that should have been tried somewhere along the line of wrestling. I actually like EC3. I'm just not a fan of the Dixie Carter heel authority thing. It just feels too much like a ripoff of what's going on WWE television now.
Well, even that and the Wheel of Dixie, all of this stuff, that's just, you're like, the winner turkey dinner, the...
And I could get more behind Ethan Carter if he wasn't beating up Pretty Peter Avalon every single week. I mean, it just...
Well, now they've changed that now. He beat Shark Boy and now Curry Man.
Yeah, I guess they're finally getting him some new jobbers. And that guy from the TNA ticket office in Nashville that has the tiger on his trunks, I forget his name.
Furnham,
yeah. No, I thought Furnham was Peter Ray. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
Dewey
guy.
Barnes.
Oh, yeah.
Dewey Barnes, yeah, that's the guy from The Office.
Hey, we're going to pay some guy up by having him get beat up.
So anyway, we still got 2 votes to take on the fail of heel Dixie Carter. Nick, yes or no?
Yeah, on the heels of authority, we don't need a heel Dixie because a Southern Belle just does not sound menacing.
Oh, you do gotta love this about her threatening AJ with the lawyers, and I'm like, I don't know. You failed to beat Hogan in a clear fraud case.
You and I have talked about that for the last 3 weeks on Impact and
Yes.
Seth.
Yeah, Dixie's lawyers did not intimidate. So, Seth, I assume that's a yes as well.
Yes. Yes.
All right, we only have one more to vote for, and that's Alberto Del Rio's babyface run, which I, of course, am giving a yes to since that was mine. So, John, over to you.
Yeah, I do. I feel it was a good idea to try to do something with the Latin demographic to try to really, put Del Rio to the next level to make him the new Mysterio in the WWE's eyes. Just Alberto Del Rio's just not likable in any fashion, like as a character. He's a great in-ring talent. Just there's nothing redeemable about him as a good guy. So yeah.
All right, Nick, yes or no on Alberto Del Rio as a face?
Well, I'm kind of torn here, Stevie. Much like John is still a fan of Joseph Park. I was a fan of the face Alberto Del Rio. I liked it. It was a nice. It's something different to see from him. We got to see more high-flying moves from him. We got to see a different move set, and I liked it. But when they paired him up against Jack Swagger as the real American, and you're in America trying to get over the Mexican, no, that was a fail right there.
Oh, and I do love, because he's Mexican, even though he's earned his stripes and stuff. But there's this real American who's like this. Oh, it's America or nothing, and everyone's going with it's America or nothing.
Yeah, Stevie, I want to say no because I did like the face of Del Rio, but I will say yes because the storylines that he had were not good, and the "Made in Mexico, Built in America" tagline was just awful.
Yes, it was.
You're not going to sell a T-shirt on that one.
So, Seth, yes or no on the Made in America, Made in Mexico, Built in America?
I'm gonna have to go yes. I'm sorry. It sounds like when they needed more faces, and I know it was just a time when they needed more faces, and it's just he didn't work.
No.
Yeah, and at the time Sheamus was out, so they needed a new strong babyface.
All right,
Yeah.
Mike, do you make this unanimous?
It's unanimous.
All right, well, we've got a whole lot of contenders here to whittle down now, so
Wow.
let's see which ones do we have. We've got John Harder's nominee of the Mike Bennett ROH Piledriver angle. That got unanimous yes. Nick nominated the Dolph Ziggler burial, and that got a unanimous yes. Seth, you didn't get a unanimous on any of yours, but they were all good. The bromance fist-bumping morons, Chavo Guerrero's TNA run, and the departure of Hulk Hogan, which I thought was going to win, but that didn't turn out to be the case. And from Mike, the Aces and Eights storyline got a unanimous yes. Heel Dixie Carter got a unanimous yes. And from me, the fail of Brooke Hogan got a unanimous yes, and Alberto Del Rio as a babyface got a unanimous yes. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 golden turducken nominees. I think we can give an individual non-golden, bronzed, 24 karat plated, whatever you want to call it. We can give like mini turduckens to 6 of these because they're all that strong. But only one can be the golden turducken. So let's start with our whittling down with the Mike Bennett ROH Piledriver angle. Take a second vote on this one. John, do you still stay with your yes?
I'm going to stick with my yes for prosperity purposes. I actually got one through. I do. I really do. I feel like in terms of the in-ring capabilities of television itself, I'm going to stick with yes for it. So I don't know about anything else when it comes to the other fantastic nominees. But I'm going to, for my vote and sticking true to my word, I'm going to say yes.
All right, Nick, do you give it a second yes?
I will. Mike Bennett is a phenomenal wrestler on his own power, and he's a really, really good heel. And he can really play it up, especially if he's in the New York market. He's billed as being from Boston, although he's in a smaller town in Massachusetts. But he's a really good heel, and he doesn't need this kind of storyline to boost up his stock. So I will continue with the yes.
All right, Mike, yes or no for the second vote?
Yes.
All right. Seth, yes or no for the second vote?
Just the way it's been brought up, yeah, I'm going to have to say the second yes.
Well, I hate to be the one to do it then, but John, regrettably, I'm going to give it a no because I don't think it's the strongest of these 6 contenders. And if I have to default to something Jim Cornette once said in an interview, there's no such thing as bad heat. And I'm personally disgusted by the angle, but maybe it actually works out in the end.
All I have to say is then Jim Cornette better have heard of X-Pac heat.
You know what? And
Any
honestly,
publicity is good publicity.
absolutely. And you know what? And honestly, I kind of feel like even though it's strong, I know with the other votes, it wasn't necessarily going to win. And Steve, I agree with you 110%. Just honestly, in-ring wrestling base, it's just a tough angle for me to watch. But I knew ultimately it might not win. I didn't expect to get all those yeses. Thanks, guys. I'll give you your $20 after the get off the air. But
I'll
it's
give you a mailing address.
but it's just really rough for me to see, that on television. And Mike Bennett, again, Nick, like you said, a phenomenal in-ring talent. I feel he's come a long way from what everybody thought he was going to be in ROH. It was just tough for me to see on television. Maybe he'll have the payoff in the end. There's no such thing as bad heat. But for taste only, and as a guy like myself who is in wrestling, who has seen guys get hurt, in person, it's just rough for me to see. So thank you for listening to my perspective on that. I really do.
I thought it was going to be a top 3, honestly.
I honestly think we all agree that Mike Bennett is way too talented to be saddled with this. He could get heat any other way.
And I've seen him in New England Championship Wrestling, and he was great even back then, before he reached Ring of Honor. So
he was a prodigy.
The prodigy Mike Bennett. Just the fact that he made it to Ring of Honor, it's great to see, but just hearing this storyline, it really is disheartening for any company to do something sick. But then again, we're never going to be done seeing these kind of things.
Yeah, wrestling is kind of a sick business at times. So, speaking of which, Dolph Ziggler getting buried after getting a concussion. Nick, I assume you stick with your yes on this.
I will. Yeah, I will say yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna stick with yes. See how it goes.
All right, Seth. Yes or no on the second vote?
I'm actually gonna have to say no on this one. This one, we'll still see. We'll see what happens. But with Dolph Ziggler, it hasn't ended yet.
That's fair. I used much the same reasoning with Mike Bennett, so I can't fault you for that. So we move to the Aces and Eights storyline. Let's see if we get a second round of yeses on this, starting with Mike.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to vote yes on it as well, so that's 2 yeses. We go to John.
I'm going to be the bearer of bad news. I'm going to say no, only because Bully Ray saved the entire thing from completely being the worst angle of the year. And, and I'm going to go back to when he won the belt in that episode of Impact where he actually pieced together everything that happened with the Aces and Eights.
True.
Bully Ray.
That.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing that up.
That video package was one of the best in wrestling all year.
Absolutely, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to say if it wasn't for that, the Aces and Eights would have been my opinion, I think it would have won the whole thing, the Turducken. But just because Bully Ray saved it single-handedly with that one episode of Impact, I got to say no.
And I will give you one other thing besides that. Bully Ray probably has my best favorite catchphrase in wrestling right now. Do you know who I am?
Well, Aces and Eights also gave us Brooke and Booty shorts, so there is that too.
Yeah, there's things to love and to hate about Aces and Eights, but Bully Ray was by far the best part of that group. So
yeah.
I couldn't say that as an entire whole that it would get a Turducken, but it was definitely a nominee.
Yeah, there was no question it deserved to be nominated. So now we come to our second round of voting on Dixie Carter. And Mike, I assume you stick with your yes.
Yes, I do.
I will stick with my yes on that one as well. So over to John.
Hell yes.
Nick, do you stick with your yes?
John stole my hell yes answer.
I assume, Seth, you're going hell yes as well.
It's going to be tough, but I think I haven't seen the end of it yet. We've seen how terrible it is. We've seen how absolutely... You know what? Actually, I'm going to stick yes. Fuck that. I was going to say no. But I am not doing that.
To be honest, Seth, it's kind of hard to gauge something on how it's going to end. The fact is that we're at this point in stage of the Turducken year. It hasn't ended yet, so we have to gauge on how it's been.
Yeah.
Oh, God. But, yeah, also, I'm just fuck it. Just fuck it on that. Just because, really, it's horrible. Dixie is terrible.
It is so bad.
Anytime Dixie comes on, I have to do the goddamn Southern accent. Well, you see here, kids. Now.
So when does Dixie Carter start sounding like Robert Parker?
My favorite is when Blade Braxton does it on the Artie and Blade show. Sugar, sugar.
Well, you gotta throw in a darling there every now and then.
Darling, sugar. I do love Dixie. If she ever does hear this, I think Dixie is a warm, charming, and affable person that I dearly enjoy talking to on press conferences. I just don't like her character on TV right now.
She's too nice.
Yeah,
she's too nice, darling.
The woman legitimately wished me a happy birthday. How could I hate her? I just don't like her character.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is she's really not a character. She should never be a character.
That's it, exactly. She's portraying a character when she shouldn't be. That's the whole problem.
Ironically, when another company has an authoritative storyline.
Yes. And like somebody said earlier, I believe it was John, it just smells like they're copying each other. There's been a lot of that this year.
Yeah, and this also sounded like the Summer of Punk, too.
Yeah,
it is.
Summer of Punk. Yeah, it is.
In a lot of respects, yes. So let's go back to my nominees, and actually, I'm just going to vote no for my first nominee and table that one because the Brooke Hogan angle was not that bad compared to the rest of these. So we'll take a second vote on Alberto Del Rio's babyface run, and I'm sticking with my yes. So we go.
Well, what about Daniel Bryan? We haven't done that yet.
Yeah, we haven't done Daniel Bryan yet, so we'll...
Alberto Del Rio, okay, go ahead.
I'm just checking here, looking over the Summer of Bryan, where was that? Yeah, okay, we will get to that. No, yeah, we will get to that, so... Sorry, totally lost my place there. Voting on Alberto Del Rio, I say yes. John, what do you say?
I say no, only because Del Rio, even though it didn't work as well as planned, and I know I wasn't a fan of Del Rio being a good guy per se, it did lead to a good little thing with the Real Americans, and he's still in the main event scene, doing stuff stemming from the failed babyface turn. I'm going to say no. I don't think it's strong enough to win a turducken.
All right. Well, we do have to go
back. He had a great title match on SmackDown, winning the world title.
I would have said no as well, so.
That's fine. The fact that it got one round of yeses, I was happy with that. So we do have to go back to the Summer of Daniel Bryan that wasn't. So, Nick, I assume you're sticking with your yes.
Yes, because we had no WWE champion for months. It was just...
and the best part was that, what was that, Battleground ending?
Yeah.
Show.
Exactly.
Yeah, the punch-out knockout by Big Show. That was terrible.
Yeah. So, yes.
And Seth, I assume that's a yes from you.
Yes. Even though it could be WrestleMania, and I'm not watching WWE right now.
All right, Mike, you sticking with your yes?
Yes, I am.
I'm sticking with my yes. I'm going to John.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with it, only because of, how up in arms the fans are about Daniel Bryan not being there right now. I'm going to stick with it.
All right, well then I believe we have whittled this down to two finalists. We've got the Summer of Daniel Bryan that wasn't, as nominated by Nikolai, and we've got Heel Dixie Carter as nominated by Mike Poulin. Do we declare a tie and give a golden turducken to each one, or do we take one more vote?
I'll take a tie. I can't pick either one, I'll be honest.
Oh, I can't either. Both are just horrible.
I'll say tie, yeah.
All right, well, if everybody is unanimous on that, John, do you think we should have a tie as well?
I don't want to be the guy to hold everybody up here in the turducken. So I would personally say I would go with Dixie as the overall turducken winner. However, seeing how everybody is up in arms over the Daniel Bryan thing, I'm going to go with you guys and say a tie.
All right, well, for the first time in Golden Turducken history, we have co-winners of the award. The Summer of Daniel Bryan that wasn't, and Heel Dixie Carter, the authority figure that never should have been. So
yes!
Yes!
I would say congratulations are in order, but I don't know if we really want to congratulate either of these winners.
No, I don't think we will, and I feel bad. Dixie is a nice person, as everyone has said.
It's just bad timing of the angle and not the right person to carry it out.
No.
And for all due respect to Daniel Bryan, we all love him and we all still love him, and nobody faults him for doing what he's told to. So really, that award should go to WWE Creative as opposed to Daniel Bryan.
Oh yeah, it's going to Creative on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Stevie, do we have any time for any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I think we could do a few honorable mentions now that we've crowned our winners. So, Nick, what do you want?
Well, I'm just gonna list off what I thought during the entire show, and anybody's free to comment afterwards. I have you mentioned Del Rio's failed babyface run, so I threw the Miz in there as a failed babyface run.
Yes, there's nothing. As much as there's nothing likable about Del Rio, there's even less likable about the Miz.
Exactly. So that was the fail right there. John brought up Zack Ryder, and to be honest, wouldn't that qualify? I believe. Was that 2012 or was that 2011?
2012, sadly.
Yeah, so that was December
when,
2012. So that would
no, actually it was 2011, and then it really got screwed up in 2012.
I understand Nick's confusion, though, because the voting period goes from the last Turducken to the next Turducken. So if he was in any part of it in late 2012, he just barely qualifies.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
that might have been 2011. Okay, yeah. So scratch that. Every major wrestling company on television doing a hostile takeover storyline. We have The Shield in WWE, which was good. Aces and Eights in TNA, which was floppy, and the Ring of Honor storyline with
Scum.
Every major company doing a hostile takeover storyline at the same time.
I have an honorable mention to tack on to yours, Nick. I also feel The Shield deserves a mention because they were exciting as the unpredictable guys who would come in and interfere in a match, and they were in business for themselves or for whoever was paying them the highest money. Once they became the lapdogs of the Authority, I stopped caring. I still like the group, and I still enjoy all of the wrestlers in the group, but they no longer feel like a legitimate threat anymore.
Agreed. I have an honorable mention too, and this is going to be. God damn it, I forget it. I'll be back later if I remember.
I have one, even though I like the show itself.
All right,
Total Divas.
I'm glad somebody brought up Total Divas because Sierra isn't here, and I hope she's feeling better. Get well soon, Sierra. But I'm sure she would have talked about Total Divas if she was here.
You know,
I got the honorable mention.
Don't think a lot of other people do.
Hey, I like Total Divas. I'm not going to lie. I actually find it very, very solid television. I could deal with that as long as I don't have to deal with Keeping Up with the Kardashians right after that crap on television. But I have one.
It's fine. I don't like using it as an angle for pay-per-views, though.
Right. I have a follow-up question for John before we go back to somebody. I want to know, do you really enjoy the angle about Vinny's manhood and how Trinity cannot take it all?
Vinny is the man. Vinny is the man. The fact he's
the worst part of the show. I'm sorry, he's the worst part.
I just honestly, you just look at Vinny and you realize he's a stereotypical party guy from L.A. And to me, I just think it's just ridiculous that, and it's ridiculous that he's on Total Divas, but for some reason he just seems like he fits. He just fits.
Are you still going to enjoy it when we have to watch him take bumps from Bill DeMott?
Oh God.
Bill DeMott on any television show is 5 stars. That's not an honorable mention anywhere. But I have one honorable mention.
Right.
I have one honorable mention, and it's towards the CW network for not bringing back Saturday Morning Slam. WrestleCrap.com from RD. I'm sorry. Saturday Morning Slam was fantastic. Daniel Bryan and the Bear lives on forever, and they never brought it back. I'm devastated.
Here. I agree.
I have one more. The Matadors.
Oh, yes.
God,
Thank you.
Love.
Yeah.
I love him.
I like Torito. I won't lie. I'm amused by his antics, but just the stereotype of taking two guys from Puerto
Rico, which is bullfighting's illegal there, by the way.
Exactly, taking two guys from Puerto Rico and making them Mexican stereotypes, that deserves some sort of award in and of itself.
Well, I got one more too, and it's really, I remember what it was. It was the fall of the Knockouts division.
That's a very good one to get an honorable mention.
That's
lost
been
a lot
happening
of people.
for years, unfortunately.
Although
Yes.
they haven't completely fallen apart, thanks to Gail Kim. She's the glue that's holding that thing together right now.
But
Madison
you
Ray's
had to
on her way
realize
back, too.
there were like at Bound for Glory there were only 5 knockouts, and one of them was and another one was pregnant.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, you really screwed up the division.
They've done a very bad job with that, but maybe in 2013 they can rebuild. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
My other honorable mention is TNA. Yes, of course. Even though they've nominated for the Turducken, they're still honorable in every category. But just them copycatting WWE still to this day, and I'm referring to Thanksgiving when they booked an 8-man tag team elimination match with captains.
Yeah, in other words, Survivor Series.
Hey, but one thing TNA doesn't do that WWE doesn't do, put guys in a turkey suit.
That's another honorable mention. I cannot stand.
How about
turkey
Show
suits.
Triple H Authority storyline?
Can I just give an honorable mention to them having an eating contest on SmackDown last night?
Oh my god,
I missed it.
That was bad. And Titus O'Neil won, and he won the right to wrestle in the ring against Antonio Cesaro,
Who gives him a big swing and promptly makes him throw up everywhere.
He's gonna puke!
He's gotta puke!
He
You know what? I got an
in
honorable mention.
He puked
for
in
NXT.
JBL's hat, and he puked on Zeb Coulter. Happy birthday, JBL, and happy birthday, Zeb Coulter.
I have a honorable mention from NXT, and I love NXT, but there's this one person who sucks on NXT, and that is CJ Parker.
I thought you were going to say Tyler Breeze.
No, I like Tyler Breeze.
I'm just
Oh, okay.
glad you didn't say Aiden English because he's my favorite
Oh, I
thing.
like him too. I love Aiden English.
I almost hate to say this, but I'm gonna have to throw the Wyatt family in there.
Honorable mention for the Wyatts?
Yes.
Oh, no.
I like the Wyatt.
I love the
Wow,
Wyatts.
that's shocking.
I mean,
They started off strong, and now they're kind of not doing anything.
except that Bray Wyatt's going to get a singles match with Daniel Bryan at TLC.
Except
I haven't
they
seen
get-
SmackDown yet.
I think honestly, I'm telling you, when the Shield and the Wyatts eventually have their big match, wherever it is going to be a monster reaction. I think the Wyatts are incredibly interesting. I think the Shield, I heard the Shield earlier. I didn't get the chance to get this in. I think it's great the Shield actually have a little bit of direction on who they are as characters now, working with the Authority. So honestly, I'm gonna have to say the Wyatts. Wow, that really caught me off guard.
Yeah, and
How about another one for Swagger and his group there?
Oh,
God.
no! I like the Real Americans.
We the people.
Yeah, that
They're
group-
actually getting over. They had a tag team
Originally, it
title
was
match
more-
last week.
I
Originally,
did see
it
that.
was
That
kind
was
of
good.
racist.
I did see that.
Yeah, originally it was kind of racist, but now they've actually kind of made it a little more of a joke.
Yeah, they've been more tolerable.
yeah,
I know where Mike's coming from. I would say at the very beginning, the We the People stuff was very hard to watch. So you know what? That would be a good honorable mention, even for me. Before Antonio Cesaro came in, when Zeb Coulter first came in, the xenophobe angles.
right.
Yes,
Yeah,
that was.
Once they made him an honorary American and gave him this whole storyline of he works harder than most Americans do, that was when it turned the corner for me. It was like, okay, it's a little bit absurd now, but that actually makes it better.
I can't
How
believe
about
I
one for
forgot-
Steve
I can't believe
Corino
I forgot-
wanting back into Ring of Honor after the whole scum angle ended?
Okay, well, I guess that's an honorable mention, too.
I can't believe I forgot to nominate the xenophobe angle.
It's understandable. Because it was so long ago now.
Yeah, and I probably tried to get it out of my head.
It's probably also worth stating that the Daniel Bryan Summer and the Dixie Carter heel turn are both so recent that made them stronger nominees just because they're so fresh.
That's true.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter because they won, so everybody else had a fair vote and they still came out the winners.
So congratulations, WWE and TNA. You have something in common.
You both suck.
You both have a stupid angle going on.
Yes, indeed. So let's get in a final round of plugs before we wrap up this show. John, as you're the special guest, I want to go to you first.
Well, thank you very much for having me do the Turducken with you guys. It was a lot of fun and a lot of great opportunity to work with you guys. For more information on me, check out the johnharder.com, TheJohnHarder.com. I have the Hard Way podcast on there. You can check the archives, one with Stevie J. I have done several great interviews. I also have my archives for Professional 3, which I've been working on. It's an obscure column type deal. Check it out there. It's entertaining, hopefully for some. Please check it out, and thank you guys so much for having me on. Let's do some more work in the future with Angry Marks.
Absolutely, John. You know I say it every time, but you're always welcome anytime. So it's our pleasure to do shows with you. And next, Nick, I know you've got a SmackDown Rundown coming up later today. Assume you want to plug that.
Sure. As we all know, we just celebrated Thanksgiving, and SmackDown decided to do so as well with a Thanksgiving episode. It wasn't as bad as TNA's, but it was still pretty bad. Although, I will say, the first hour was all silliness, and we talked about it. Titus O'Neil giving Zeb Coulter and JBL some birthday treats. But the last hour, the second hour of SmackDown, we saw an exciting tag team title match that started at the top of the hour and ended in a 12-man tag all the way to the rest of the show. So definitely check out the SmackDown Rundown. King J and myself, we're going to talk about the Thanksgiving episode of SmackDown, and we're going to give all of our thoughts from everything going on in WWE in the angle of the new angle for the unified, undisputed championship. So we're going to give our thoughts on all that, mostly from SmackDown.
All right, Seth, there was no Impact Implosion due to Thanksgiving this week, so I assume it's a doubleheader next week.
Yep,
Yes.
It'll be a doubleheader next week.
All right, so that's your only plug then, or Twitter or anything else?
Well, I do have an AskFM account now, which is, you get to ask me a question, I will answer it, which is askfm.com/Seth.com/SethDraken. Seth Draken.
All right, well...
Where's Ask FM?
Ask FM, it's like a little, it's like part of Twitter, but it's kind of, you get to ask people questions. You get to ask people questions, and if they answer, they can have longer than, the usual.
Right, it's like a twit longer. It gives you more
Yes.
characters.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So that's it. Be sure to ask FM on Seth Draken if you have any questions about TNA, or you want to just make a comment on Impact Implosion. You can send
Or
it to
Monster Crap, whatever.
or Monster Crap as well. Yeah, good plug. Thanks for throwing that one in too. I sometimes forget to plug that, so I'm glad you did. And
And if you've got questions for SmackDown, sorry to interrupt, but SmackDown Rundown at gmail.com.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate that. And Mike, anything you want to plug besides Impact Implosion? Anything in IWE or anything else?
Oh, actually, I won't plug IWE. They have shows coming up December 6th and 7th, which is next weekend. And they will be bringing in AR Fox, as well as Just Incredible, who actually just lost the belt there last weekend. So he has a rematch with the champion Eric Atlas on the 7th. Also on the 6th, it'll be Eric Atlas and Andy McKenzie with the special referee Brandino Davis. And what else is on the 6th? Oh, an elimination match with AR Fox and Scott Wilde against the Murder Militia, which is interesting because AR Fox and Wilde will be opponents the next night in Brewer on the 7th.
All right. Well, those sound like great cards. I kind of wish I was there, but I'll just have to hear about them from you because I'm sure you'll have a good report for us.
I will, yep. And I will talk to you guys all next week.
All right. Well,
Or on Thursday.
Thanks, everybody, for being here. And one more shout-out to Sierra before we go. I hope that she's feeling better, and we'll be back.
Yes, hope you're well there, Sierra.
Yes, absolutely. Get better soon, Sierra, and hopefully we'll be doing a show next week, and she'll be back. But for me, Stevie J, for my esteemed panel on the Turducken Awards, thanks for being here, and have a good night, everybody.